Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. Bears were out today as we have many names starting some daily consolidation, which has us looking to our key daily higher low supports. The trades that I was looking for this morning that I talked about in the video yesterday did not present themselves in the ideal way that I wanted, so I passed on those, but there were other setups that I liked. We'll look at what those were. And heading into tomorrow, there's a couple trade setups that I'm watching for as well. So looking at the S&P 500 futures chart, this is what we had drawn in yesterday's video for if the bears were going to prove anything to us, double top and loss of 4-hour support, and it took a little lower high and lower low overnight for that to set up. Daily time frame, we are testing daily EMA 12. Here is SPY. We have held daily EMA 12 support for the last 3 weeks. We know the low of Thursday is the most important support level of 427.52. And if that holds, the bulls keep complete control. What's going to be very telling for me tomorrow is whether or not the low of today breaks. Because looking at the hourly time frame for SPY, this was first hourly oversold conditions coming off the all-time high. The last time that happened, that was our daily higher low being set, the low of Thursday. So if this level holds and the bulls change the hourly trend back in their favor tomorrow, we are looking right back up at all-time highs, and the bulls still in complete control. It will be a notable difference to me if the bounce takes place as it has, and we drop to a lower low. That will be first hourly oversold conditions lacking follow-through. And then from there, we're looking right back at that low of Thursday to see if the daily uptrend can maintain or not. The majority of the weakness today was in the tech sector and in growth names. The financial sector had a solid green day. Well, I guess it's not solid, but compared to everything else, it was a solid green day, holding things up a good bit, doing its best to hold SPY up, I should say. So that's big for me tomorrow. If the low of today breaks, it's an hourly oversold bounce coming off of an all-time high with a lack of follow-through. And QQQ is going to be the same thing. The NASDAQ futures chart at a real nice 4-hour equilibrium that broke bear. You can see the volume spike with that bear break. We zoom out, daily EMA 12. QQQ. Daily EMA 12, most important support is 354.42. We are still over 1.5% above that level. And again, hourly RSI hitting oversold. Does that mark our daily higher low? Or do we drop to a lower low and say, okay, this is different than that last daily consolidation that we saw just a week ago? There was one trade in QQQ, confluence of signals. So what's the confluence of signals? Hourly oversold, daily EMA 12, and we're still in a daily uptrend. So what does that tell me? It tells me scout an hourly oversold bounce. So I zoomed in. I saw a clear 15-minute pattern, lower highs and lower lows. Can't get much clearer than that as far as a trend is concerned. EMA 12, clear guide as resistance. Zoomed in more and saw a 5-minute falling wedge shaping up. So I had drawn it right here and posted it in the chat room. Hey, keeping an eye on this falling wedge. Let's see if the bulls can break it into the end of the day. And then just a little tweak, had to drop the line a little bit, but we were still holding it. We broke bullish, we back tested, pretty much held previous resistance, now support, and then the bounce followed through. So again, the only reason I'm looking for a falling wedge there is because we had a new low of the day by 24 cents into a little bounce, and then a new low of the day by 30-some cents into a bounce. But it was knowing that we're looking for an hourly oversold bounce. I probably would have missed this falling wedge in terms of it not standing out clearly to me if I didn't know that we were in hourly oversold conditions looking for a bounce. In the end, it wasn't a huge bounce, but there's enough to establish trades based off of that. I chose NVDA for that end of the day trade, and it was one of the weaker names. So I chose the wrong name, essentially is what it boiled down to. I did get a little bit of green out of it, but there would have been many other better trades out there. XBI would have been a much better trade off of, well, I take that back. It bottomed out long before then. But long story short, that's my phrase for the last week. It's just in there now. But there were better names to be played. That's just the way it goes sometimes, and that's part of the luck of trading. I was anticipating NVDA as one of the more extended names to the downside. The hourly RSI was absolutely crushed. We confirmed the daily downtrend that we were watching for. Lower high and lower low, and the bears could not have asked for any better follow-through to break support on the daily, to already be down over the last couple of days, 3.5% before support breaks, and then to break it and get 4% of follow through on the same day. Again, you can't ask for better follow through than that. The signal for the bears was 788 as far as confirming the daily downtrend and confirming hourly oversold conditions, or I should say confirming weekly consolidation. And the hourly RSI was crushed, but again, a weak bounce. I want a gap down open. So just like today, I was looking for PLTR and growth names to give me a gap down open. And again, if you didn't watch the video yesterday, go back and watch it because I laid out everything that I was looking for and I didn't get it. So I didn't trade growth names for bounces, and we'll talk about that more at the end of the video. One thing else I want to point out on NVDA is, again, I want a gap down open to play this bounce. The 4-hour RSI would be oversold. We're looking for a weekly higher low, absolutely, but there's a lot of space for that to form. The hourly RSI would be absolutely crushed on a gap down open. But the main thing I want to point out here is hourly RSI being oversold when you're in an uptrend and hitting all-time highs is not the same as when you're in a downtrend. So look at the hourly RSI. Once this big bull move started, and you could say it started to really take off here at the end of May, look at what the hourly RSI did. It bounced around 40, 40, right off 30, right off 30, right off 40, and then as soon as momentum notably shifted, we dropped all the way down to the teens. And yes, it saw a big bounce off of that, but here we are again, down into the teens. That is a very notable shift. Our hourly RSI hitting 30 or hitting 40 or 30 worst case in a blue sky run, and then you start seeing it hit levels that we have not seen in a very long time. That shows you a momentum shift is underway. And I cannot treat hourly RSI hitting 25 in a daily downtrend the same as I would treat it in a daily uptrend. They are two different scenarios. IWM daily downtrend confirmed. Not a lot of follow through. I see a bear break with a lack of follow through. What do? I watch to see if there's a falling wedge setup for me to be keeping an eye on. And this would be a downtrending resistance line on the 4-hour time frame. And this would be, I should say, a support line. This would be a resistance line. Just something to keep an eye on. Not necessarily in play right now, but if we were to see a green day tomorrow, I would pay attention to this pattern next week. If the bulls are able to confirm an hourly trend change back in their favor, which they must do, with a higher low and higher high, so bulls have to show up tomorrow, but if they do, we zoom out, we scout a daily lower high, anything under 226.89. And support, after the low of today, that 211.54 level is a key level from here. XLF held the low of yesterday first thing by 4 pennies, and then the bulls took over. And as QQQ was dropping, XLF was going up. There was a period during the day where XLF was dropping, and right here we can see we topped out just before noon, and we pulled back for, was that 4 hours? No. 1 hour? No, 2 hours. That was 2 hours of pullback. At the same point in time, what was QQQ doing just before noon? Right here, we dropped part of that time, a weak bounce part of that time, and then really just weakness, not as much weakness, but that's a scenario where the relationship between QQQ and XLF favored bears because QQQ was not bouncing with the same magnitude that XLF was pulling back, so that leads to SPY having a bearish reaction. But in the end, bulls trying to set a daily higher low on XLF, inside bar formed. If it breaks bull, we're looking right back at the high of 37.14. Healthcare, daily consolidation underway. Anything above 127.11 is a daily higher low. First hourly oversold conditions were hit this morning, and the bulls saw a great bounce from those conditions. It is a potential little mini head and shoulders, but the burden of proof is on the bears. This would be the neckline. This would be the head. If we bounce and follow through tomorrow, we would have to see an inability to break the all-time high and then a confirmed daily downtrend. It would have to do what NVDA just did. Same setup. Higher low on the daily, holding EMA 12 support. Lower high, rolled over. Higher low on the daily, holding EMA 12 support. If we see bounce follow through, it would have to be a lower high and lower low with the bears proving it. But still a daily uptrend, and that's what matters most to me on QQQ, SPY, and XLV. Are they in a daily uptrend? Answer for now is yes. Biotech sector, daily downtrend following through. We got two crushed, oversold RSI levels. And the 4-hour RSI was real beat up. The hourly RSI was getting back to oversold, but the 4-hour RSI is why I was interested. And Lori, shout out to Lori, she in the chat room pointed it out. I had no interest in trading XBI, and she pointed it out early in the morning, and we ended up seeing a significant 2% bounce. And from there, we double topped. So I entered a position in the maybe 124.50, and I wasn't paying any attention to XBI, but as soon as I see that 4-hour RSI, that's enough for me to begin establishing a position. The bounce got going right after that. I sold half, and I put my stop under the low of the day, risk-free, break even. And then let it play out. It was a cup and handle setup here where we failed to break resistance, we bull flagged, and then we failed. And if I was being really protective of my profits, I would have moved my stop up there. And that, obviously, in hindsight, would have been ideal because I did get stopped out on this new low of the day, break even. The only reason I let this play out is because I didn't let my other bounce trades on the morning play out. And we'll look at that in just a minute, but I traded AMC and Wish on their bounces. So I had a lot of bounce plays this morning. Yesterday was a really good day. Today was twice as good as yesterday. So I was just locking in profit like a madman on these bounces, playing counter trend for the same reason I talked about in yesterday's video. And this was the one that I said, all right, I'm gonna let this one play out because I've taken all my other profit and I'm back to cash in all those other positions. Didn't work out this time, but don't really have many regrets on that. SMH. Daily support is 248.89. Bears have to break that level to lose the daily uptrend and start weekly consolidation. So we saw NVDA already confirm the daily downtrend. AMD confirm the daily downtrend. MU has not broken to the lower low yet. And SMH has not either. We'll see if it does tomorrow. Bulls need an hourly trend change back in their favor for a daily higher low to try and take shape compared to that previous low. TAN, daily lower high and lower low following through. The weekly perspective is still just fine, bigger picture, looking for a weekly higher low, but it's a very clear daily downtrend. If we see an hourly trend change back to the bulls, we'll zoom out and we'll scout a daily lower high, anything under 90.77. So a lot of newer traders, they want to buy when things are green and just keep going up, and they don't want to buy when things are red. When you look at NVDA, and if you look at this weekly time frame, and you say, are you looking for a bullish entry at any point in the last 3 weeks? I would say no, we are way too extended. I have no interest in a bullish swing entry with a goal of holding for days to weeks. I have to see weekly consolidation. And right now I have a friend who has been out of the market for a while and they want back in. And my answer to them is, you're waiting for either weekly consolidation at a bare minimum in SPY and QQQ. Again, QQQ has seen 8 green weeks in a row. You're not buying here. You're buying consolidation. So either weekly consolidation at a minimum or monthly consolidation. SPY has seen a higher low every single month for the last 10 months. We know that pattern will break. And I would much rather buy for a longer term out or a longer term mindset when there is fear. I would rather buy daily oversold on SPY looking for a monthly higher low than I would buy right now. So for NVDA, if you've been wanting a long entry, again, the instinctual reaction is down 4.4%. I want nothing to do with a bullish position. And I'm not saying enter a swing bullish position right now, but I'm saying this is when you're establishing your game plan, because anything above 538 is a weekly higher low. We know we're extremely likely to form a weekly higher low. And again, if we get to daily oversold conditions, scouting a weekly higher low or any other extreme drop to the downside, that's when you want to be establishing your longer term positions. Not when we're up at the all-time high, when we are cooling things off and the emotional spectrum has shifted to bring a little bit of fear on the table. MSOS, big drop. And a little bit of a bounce into the end of the day. Same thing, the bulls will have to change an hourly trend back in their favor. And some of these names just showing how they are manipulated on the OTC. TCNNF. Look at this drop today and recovery. So we ended up down 8% at one point and we closed green. And it was just an absolute flush And again, the OTC allows for this to happen where it's just thinly traded, and $10 million on this ticker does way more than $10 million on any other higher listed name. So it opens the door for manipulation to a certain degree. But bigger picture, we will have to see growth names bounce because the MJ sector is right now the lead bear growth sector. So it's doing very similar things to all of our other growth names, just much weaker overall. So we will have to see an hourly trend change back to the bulls. Then we're just scouting a daily lower high. So overall, bears are comfortable. This double top rejection from MSOS led to this dump. And one thing that stands out, and the reason I didn't exit the position that I have from the upper 37s, is because look what happens when the daily RSI hits 30. In 2021, we have hit the RSI just above 30 and bounced, at 30 and bounced, at 30, right below 30 and bounced. And today we got right down to 30 again, maybe just above it, and the bulls are attempting to bounce. So I'm going to give it tomorrow to see if the bulls are able to change the hourly trend back in their favor. But if we see SPY and QQQ shaping up to lose their daily uptrend, the MJ sector is not positioned well at all for that, and I will be right back to all cash if that shapes up. The VIX, upper wick, watching this falling wedge. Nothing going on in the VIX. I would have expected it to have a bigger day today, and it didn't. Perhaps that's because it's been going up while the markets go up because people are hedging. For whatever reason, not a whole lot of bull action today. And again, it's just a low, high, higher low, and anything under 21.29 is just a lower high in this pattern. The dollar, green day today, still tightening up. We can look at it on the 12-hour. Just a standard equilibrium. Low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low, and heading back up to resistance, 92.85. If we fail resistance and lose 12-hour support, it'll be notable. Gold, yet again. So dollar green, gold green. Holding up better than the dollar. Gold bulls are just waiting for dollar weekly consolidation, and they are positioned very well for it if it happens. We're in a 4-hour uptrend, higher low set, EMA 12 support, and right up near the high of this bounce. Silver also had a green day, but has more work to do. Have to break 26.77 to confirm the daily uptrend. The bull miners, still sideways. Daily inside bar, have to break 35.18 if we're going to follow along to where gold is already leading. Oil, on the verge of confirming the daily downtrend. Lower high is set. We knew that was the most likely scenario. It just took a while to happen. I would have been looking for it really here. Took an extra couple days. But here we are, close to confirming a daily downtrend and confirming weekly consolidation if 70.76 breaks. Natural gas, same deal, holding on a little bit better. 350 is the key support here, but a very similar setup. And if oil breaks first and natural gas has not broken yet, that will increase the odds that natural gas is going to break and follow along as well. All right, so this morning, woke up. I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for growth gap down opens to play the bounces. PLTR, the names that I mentioned in the video yesterday, PLTR, no gap down. We opened above the low of yesterday, not the trade I'm looking for. I'm not playing that bounce. Who else was it? It was PLTR. I was watching ARK, ARKK, opened right at the low of yesterday, not what I'm looking for. NIO, no gap down open. Bottom line is growth did not open weak enough for me to be looking for bounce plays. I wanted at least a 1 to 2% gap down open under the low of yesterday. So this is an example of having a trade setup, having a trade game plan, and the trade did not come to me. So I did not trade any of these names today. But what I did trade are the names that gave me the setup that I was looking for. AMC and Wish and SPCE have been weak and dumping day after day. They gave me a solid gap down open. AMC was down 15% yesterday, and pre-market was down another 5% this morning. AMC was my top focus, and I posted on Twitter a bit more detail, posting the messages that I had in the chat room as far as my game plan preparation. So check out Twitter if you want more details on that, or join the chat room if you want to see it live. But I was looking at AMC. I didn't take SPCE because it was very similar to AMC, but just not as oversold. AMC's 4-hour RSI and hourly RSI were more beat up than SPCE. And I did like Wish as well, because Wish was a gap down open. And again, it's just a huge drop off of its recent high. We dropped all the way back down 37%, and we're scouting a weekly higher low. So again, 4-hour RSI was down in the low 20s, and we were gapping down open. So what did I do? I bought Wish and AMC first thing right out of the gate. And forget where my fills were, but I posted these as well on Twitter. So Wish filled at 964 and AMC 3276. So just watching how the morning played out on those names, Wish was just a rocket right from the open. So here's your open, quick little flush down. And I didn't even get a great entry on that flush. I got an okay entry. It was very fast. And a 10% move. No, not as much as that. 7% move. I didn't get all of that, but I exited half on the way up. And then by the time we hit 10:30, I said, I'm exiting all of this. I'm not letting it play out because, again, I'm trading counter the hourly trend, counter the daily trend, and if you give me a 7% move in less than 45 minutes, I will lock it in every time. Same message as the video yesterday. AMC, what was the fill? 3270s. So again, look at this monster move. Within 45 minutes, we are up 15%. I am not hanging around and waiting to hope for more follow through. That's greed. So scaled out, couple exits, and again, it just got to the point where I was in euphoria mode. Whenever I feel euphoria with trading, that means lock in gains. I automatically associate those two things. And yes, there will be times I leave money on the table, but there will be many times where I don't leave money on the table and I do a good job of locking it in. Yesterday was a perfect example of that. So this was as good a morning as I could have hoped for. It was probably maybe probably a 4-day maker within the first 45 minutes of trading. And so because I exited AMC and Wish fully, I let that XBI trade try and play out, stopped out break even. It was a nice top fish here. I did short AMC. AMC was a 1-minute rising wedge. Again, extremely overextended. There were a few of us in the chat room shorting it up at these levels, and it was essentially watching this rising wedge, and I had my stop at 37.51, and I made 2 entries right up here. I believe my first was 36.80s, and I made another one right around there as well, and scaled out into 5-minute EMA 12. Exited a bit early because we dropped a good bit lower than 5-minute EMA 12. Not a huge amount lower. We had another top fish, and again, I was done after that. I went outside, and we had a really nice top fish that would have resulted in another bunch of opportunity. And then I came back to the computer and was looking for an hourly higher low, and you can see the bulls right now are running it in extended hours. This is the bulls saying our temporary bottom is in. And they loaded their positions today, and now they're using the small amount of capital required to push things in extended hours, and here we are confirming the hourly trend change, and would not be surprised in the slightest for some daily bounce to follow through from here. SPCE is up after hours, so the Reddit names have flipped. The scales have tilted. It was all supply outweighing demand for the last 2 weeks, and today on the gap down open, look at the volume climax. AMC is the highest volume in 3 weeks. Scales have tilted, and now in extended hours, the bulls are doing their thing to put some shorts under pressure and to try and ensure that this daily bounce follows through. We'll be scouting a daily lower high to be the result of this bounce, but this is a great sign for the bulls to see what's going on after hours. SPCE has a lot more work to do than AMC, but again, it is responding after hours. What's GME doing? GME's trying to as well, so they're all doing it. But AMC is the lead bull from today's action out of the Reddit names. So tomorrow, I want to gap down on NVDA. We'll see if we get it. Wouldn't be surprised if I don't get it. If we were to see a higher open, I would be scouting an hourly lower high on some names and potential bearish entries. So it all depends on how we open, which again is why I don't do much to establish game plans after hours. It's all pre-market for me because I'm going to be looking in complete opposite directions on NVDA if we open at 750 or if we open at 770. Completely different opposite directions. So I have no idea how we're going to open. There's going to be 13 hours of trading, 12 hours of trading overnight tonight. I'm done talking. Have a good rest of your day. Do good things. See you soon. If you go long at the open during this stretch, you're making money probably 18 out of 20, however many days. It is a notable shift. And this is a horse. That's his saddle. Better tail. That's a carrot. I think we got to